Right, hey guys, how we doing? Back in another video from Clyde, and we are on Barragan is way stronger than you think. Now, Barragan was an interesting one. He always didn't really stand out a lot until, like, the big fight. But when you think about who he is, big deal. He was, like, the king of Wickermundo, wasn't he, before Eisen got there? And his whole ability of being able to, like, age and decay things is, like, really, like, massively a powerful ability when you really think about it. So yeah, plus I'm sure Chuck's done a video of like the strongest, like the most deadliest anyway characters within Bleach, and I'm sure Barragan's on the thumbnail for that. Not checked that out yet. So seems to be that everyone's starting to actually realise now that Barragan could have possibly been a bigger player than he actually was within the story. But let's see where Clyde goes with this. With this, Barragan is way stronger, like way in capitals stronger than you think.
Today's Bleach character video has got to be one of the most confusing individuals in the entire series of Bleach. And that's saying quite a lot when you have characters like this, and some of the Espada were constantly transforming into hentai monsters or literal pumpkins. How the fuck did Byakuya not make a joke when he seen Zomari transform into that?
Yeah. Anyway.
Right now, I'm going to be talking to you all about one of the most overpowered and surprisingly not talked about much on YouTube.
Yeah, it was a big deal. It was a big deal.
Entire aesthetic, narrative,
looks sick when he was transformed into that as well.
Senescence, who although has the power to control aging, he himself fears the inevitable black void. Their Segundo Espada, also known as the King of Wickermundo, Barragan. Barragan's introduction into the story of Bleach is definitely one of the most interesting ones, as every time you see him, he is always silent and
he doesn't say anything, does he?
Like the wise old man of the Espada. But a few things about Barragan that rubbed me the wrong way when I first read and watched Bleach was definitely things like, why did he never interact with Grimmjow? Like, at all whatsoever. Surely that would have been good beef to show on the screen, even if it's one-sided.
It was like Grimmjow wanted to be king, didn't he?
Grimmjow wants to be king of
there you go.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah, I am the king.
The actual king of
himself. Yeah, cool.
Even when they're sitting right in front of one another. There are instances shown in the story where Grimmjow does speak with attitude towards some of the Espada, and this is shown multiple times in the story. But when it comes to Barragan,
doesn't bother.
Fair enough, Grimmjow doesn't have to be hostile towards every single member of the Espada. I mean, it doesn't achieve anything to necessarily do that. Or Kubo has Grimmjow look at Barragan and think to himself, I hate that old man, or, you know, something to that effect. It was always a surprise that that never happened. The same could also apply to Barragan by having Barragan look at Grimmjow and obviously look at him in a very adolescent/young way. The way he would look at Grimmjow would be, you know, oh, he's just a young hothead, or he's a young buffoon, or he's a young
got
idiot,
nothing in between them.
You know, that could easily be slid into the story, and I felt like that was something missing. Also, Mr. Kubo broke one of the biggest anime rules of all time. Why did Barragan and Yamamoto not have any words? The two old leaders of
that would have been quite cool to see as well, yeah. Yeah, they would have known of each other's existence, yeah.
Even if they don't speak directly to one another,
they would have heard of each other.
They could at least have inner monologues thinking about
each other.
As they get to the
okay, yeah, I get that.
They are thousands of years old, so obviously they would know of one another. It's pretty obvious. If Eisen knows that Barragan exists, there's no way that Yamamoto isn't.
Doesn't,
like, when you go to Wickermundo, you should probably be careful of the king, because he's quite overpowered. I mean, consider this for a second. Imagine if Yuha Bark said, oh, Barragan is dead, when he went to Wickermundo to invade with the rest of the Quincy army, or even just references him once in the story. Even to Eisen, what if he was like, you're the troublesome young kid that killed Barragan, huh? I know about you.
Yeah.
Something like that, you know,
he just completely
but you understand what I'm
void
saying.
around his existence within the story.
Into battle, we get to see one of the most tactical fights in the story of Bleach, and also a look at what the big dogs of the Espada can actually do. Unlike most of the Espada, Barragan has a unique ability that only applies to him, which was a more commonly seen element among the start of Bleach, when you would see Ichigo and Rukia have to deal with the normal everyday hollows. Although these hollows are relatively weak compared to a lot of the opponents you'll see Ichigo fight later in the story, the truth is they did actually have some abilities which were pretty annoying to fight against, and thus, even though they weren't the strongest characters, it made them more difficult to fight. Sure, Coyote Stark has his Sero guns, and Ukiura has his Lanzadel Relampago Hiroshima Episode 2 attacks that he can
Jesus,
But apart from Ardenero and Zael, the other Espada are pretty straightforward physical combat only friendly
Yeah,
fighters.
just straight up
This is
power.
not to say it's a bad thing, but to highlight how unique Barragan actually is, and with good reason. Barragan's main opponent is Soifon, a captain that specializes in her shunpo and hand-to-hand combat ability. I would go so far to say that she is one of the best in the Gotei 13 when it comes to these two elements of battle, and I personally do believe that Soifon is quite underrated and deserves a bit more credit. Omaida, her lieutenant, highlights that Barragan being able to keep up with Soifon is a big deal. He got Captain Soifon. That means nobody in the 13 Core Guard companies can evade his attacks. Now, obviously, I don't fully agree with that from Omaida, even if I do believe Soifon is highly underrated in the Bleach community. This is, however, contradicted by a databook statement, which confirms Yamamoto actually has the best flash step of all Shinigami, along with other things like Kido and Zonjutsu. Yamamoto is also stated to be able to tussle with Aizen without the assistance of his Zanpakuto, with Aizen in his base, which was the form Yamamoto was fighting against, being stated stronger and faster than all the Espada. In the words of Gin, and with how effortlessly he can disable Grimjow and Hullybell, or how subservient Stark, Yami and Ukiura are, this also doesn't make sense as Byakuya blitzes Zomari, who is stated to be the fastest Sonido
he's the fastest one, isn't he? Yeah.
And Shunsui can keep up with Resurrection Stark, the #1 Espada, complemented Sonido user, and Blitzer of Kenpachi and Ichigo at the same time. So, it is true Soifon does keep up quite well with Yoruichi in the Soul Society arc, and has access to her Shunko state, which would amp all of her abilities, but Yoruichi confirms she isn't in her prime, and can only use a certain amount of flash steps
she can only go so much.
Combat. Not fighting for around 100 years will obviously do this, and
definitely going to be a little bit out of touch with your abilities there.
Again, a rusty Yoruichi. Aizen does complement Soifon's after-image technique, though he was definitely belittling her, dealt with it easily, and we don't even know if...
Yeah, it was a bit of a Saki comment, and it's like, oh, that's cute, bam.
It did actually turn out that his body was on the other side of the city, and Momo was technically Aizen's body communicating with all of them because they were all under Kyoko Soigetsu. Omaida's statement is also flimsy, as he states Barragan is scarier than Aizen, but this could purely be Omaida's perception of him as genuinely
the way he looks.
Scarier, comedic relief by the author, Omaida is a goofball, or he's a faulty narrator. Omaida is not a good measurement of analysing a character's power, considering he is also rather weak.
Yeah, he's pretty down there, isn't he?
To come over to him, she would scare him too. This also, again...
Anyone that's like up there is going to freak him out, isn't it?
Explicitly shown to be threatened by base Aizen, Kosen, and Gi. You could also consistently make the argument that the versions of them shown when they first met Barragan are actually weaker than the ones that appear in the Karakura Town War, so just keep that in mind. Gi does confirm that the Espada all follow Aizen because of his base power.
Yeah, like it's literally how strong he is, yeah.
It is stated word for word in the manga that that is the case. Ichigo in the Soul Society arc highlights Aizen as being exceptionally strong for a Shinigami too, and Aizen tanked a suicide Kido from Yamamoto, which must be used by sacrificing a burnt limb to activate the Kido itself. Now, I don't mention this information to downplay Barragan in any way at all. It's just more so to clarify any information from the story which may be falsely perceived. As fun fact, even though Barragan's raw speed may not be god tier like Omaida suggests, what's cool about Barragan is that he does have the ability to slow his opponent's moves when they attack him
because of the way he's able to age things.
Even if his opponent is considerably faster than himself, he can slow them down as if he is using the Sharingan and beat them that way.
Cool.
This would also be amped to a considerable margin when he is in his Resurrection 2. While in his Resurrection state known as Aragante, he can use the ability known as Respira, which translates to Breath of Death, and this ages all things to death. Literally everything, including energy attacks like Kidos. If you place Barragan into most other anime worlds, he would be an absolute monster.
Oh damn, yeah.
With him only needing his Dark Cloud to touch a single part of your body to destroy the rest, his hand touching you and instantly aging limbs. Barragan is directly shown aging a Bonkai missile,
which is just incredible because that's an actual ability itself,
ages Kidos before they touch him. Contrary to popular belief, Barragan was not given a fake rank as an insult to his pride, which is something many people believe. It's very true Aizen and Barragan definitely did not get along, which is evident by the way they associate with one another.
No way did they.
Stole his kingdom by course, but there is no direct statement that Barragan was given a fake rank, only that during his last moments, he tried everything to kill Eisen and clearly was not a fan of following him. Hollybell, Barragan, and Stark also never once highlight that they are bothered by their placement amongst the Espada. Alongside this, spiritual pressure and the way it operates in the series has been described by many reputable characters to work in a way where if one energy clashes with the other, the stronger one wins.
Yeah, definitely.
Even so far that it can damage the weaker individual. Eisen also states that he can overpower abilities like Soifon's two-shot Shikai with his spiritual
Which is
pressure,
crazy.
and the Geen statement about Eisen clearly indicates that Eisen, or the Espada ranked above Barragan, could stop his Respira ability with their spiritual pressure. By default, if the Respira ability could affect anyone in Bleach, he would naturally be ranked number 1. But Stark,
Crazy.
second form Yami, and second release
Ukiura
Ukiura are still naturally above him in raw spiritual
Yeah,
pressure.
like the
Eisen
just
also states
them
Hollybell
being
and
there.
the other Espada are disappointing, but is still complimentary of Gein's power, and states Ichigo's form against Ukiura is something he finds interesting, meaning Ukiura being able to be relative to it is a good thing, and further consistency that yes, the ones ranked above Barragan are seen stronger in even Eisen's eyes. These two scans here on the screen, Eisen talks in a very negative way about what's being said, but this scan here, well, Eisen seems to be quite happy with the power that Ichigo has in his Vasto Lorde form. I'll say once more, yes, the Respira ability is incredibly overpowered.
It's really
but
OP.
In the world of Bleach, characters with higher spiritual pressure
Can just
defend themselves
counteract it.
against the ability.
Yeah.
He would never touch someone like Yamamoto
Nah.
with his Bankai armor or Eisen with his alien transformations. They would simply walk through the attack. Though, in the Arrancar arc, if Kenpachi messed with Barragan and didn't start off seriously from the very beginning of the battle, Barragan could get a sneaky win like that against Kenpachi, so it
Yeah.
can be useful even against opponents, even if they are...
And Kenpachi was on the list of people
I
to
do
be
also
fucking
think
aware
that
of.
it's very necessary to mention that one thing that's quite fascinating about Barragan is that when you look at the novel material and just the story itself, it doesn't seem to be the case that Barragan is completely in his prime when he fights in Katakura Town either, because until Eisen came to his kingdom, he was pretty complacent and just like chilled and didn't really do much, right? It's quite possible that he is either rusty from not fighting, which is similar to Yoruichi and Unohana,
Yeah, you can give them that
or
argument.
his
He's going to do it
powers
for that
may have
side.
even deteriorated as time has gone by, because as Hachi points out, Barragan actually fears death himself, which is ironic considering the character's whole narrative revolves around the aspect of, you know, dying, aging, senescence, etc. I'm not saying this stuff is like a definite, but it is sort of worth mentioning because the novels seem to indicate that he's much stronger than he actually is shown to be, but we can also only go off of what we've seen.
Yeah.
So if you want to argue that,
Fair enough.
that's not prime Barragan and he might actually be much stronger than what was shown, then that's actually fair enough. Like, I respect that opinion. But generally speaking, I want to say that in the world of Bleach, Barragan isn't a super crazy top tier character, though if you do put him into other anime verses without
Then he's just
pressure
really up there.
or
Like,
Bleach
yeah, it is crazy.
operates in a similar manner, he is a huge problem.
But within the world of
Speaking
Bleach, how
novels,
everything
some
works,
interesting
yeah,
notes
like
from the
people,
novels themselves,
yeah, it makes
Barragan
sense that they
is
can
said to
counteract
be
and
the
balance it out
oldest
and
known
just
hollow and a
blitz it.
natural-born Vasto Lorde. In the past, Barragan tussled with a hollow that took the entire Zero Division to seal, and Yamamoto apparently couldn't 1v1 it. It's very likely that Yamamoto didn't go fully all out against this thing, and he has even gotten stronger with old age anyway. He even states he never showed his full Bankai's power to Yhwach in the original war, and states in the current war that that was the case. And we also know that Zanpakuto's and their abilities evolve over time. In the novels, it's stated Kenpachi dealt with this hollow in one blow, even though Shunsui still recognizes Yamamoto's power being in a higher category to everyone else, except obviously debatable individuals like Yhwach, Ichigo, and Unsealed Eisen. Kenpachi still hasn't reached the prime of his power with Shikai and
Yes, he hasn't
yet,
gone
so
that
I'm
far yet
personally
within
not
the
gonna
story,
die on
yeah.
that hill, but if you want to, you are more than welcome to have those arguments. If there's any other interesting novel-related information in regards to Barragan that I've missed, please let me know below in the comments. I wanted to avoid using the novels in this video and a lot of my other content due to how weird the power scaling is and the inconsistency.
I've not read these novels, but I do see them floating around in all the bookshops that I go to recently.
Sometimes when you read the novels or you watch some of the filler from the anime, it is very evident when Kubo isn't involved, because sometimes the power scaling is
Completely off.
weird.
Right.
You'll have characters fighting one another that should not even be in the same league.
Right.
So either the way that the story is progressed, or in general, the characters just should not even be in the same ballpark of power. But the things that I did add to this video, well, they're cool little notes, and I wanted to include them in case people get bothered that I don't mention them. To give you an example of what I'm talking about, if base Aizen is above Barragan in raw power, but Barragan is a rival to that hollow, but Yamamoto can't beat it, but Aizen isn't confident that he can beat Yamamoto in a 1v1, even while having him under Kyoko Soigetsu, then Aizen thinks he will potentially lose to Yamamoto, and made wonder-wise with the Hogyoku. He went out of his way to make
Actually, just make that thing, yeah.
The Hogyoku, right? Just for the sole purpose
Of fighting him,
stealing
yeah.
his strongest Zanpakuto, verbatim stated by multiple characters. But Yamamoto lost to a younger, arguably weaker Yamamoto in the past.
Oh, yeah.
Because Yamamoto can't beat that hollow, even though all those characters naturally scale up with Barragan, but Barragan's a rival of this hollow. Oh, this shit is fucking... Oh, what the...
Crazy.
I also want to add this side note to the video. It's kind of hard to scale Barragan even higher than he actually is, because the way that the Visors react to the deformed version of the Vasto Lorde, which is not at full power, it's not unrestricted, it doesn't even scale to the half Shihakusho, half power Vasto Lorde, right, that fought Ukiura. And on top of that, Shinji with his holification, who fought a Grimjow that was damaged and had one arm and in his base form, and did say verbatim, I'm not going to hold back on you, when he was using one of his Seros while holified. It's very hard to consistently scale Barragan over something like the Vasto Lorde. And again, the Visors were all more scared of that thing than they were of most of the Espada.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. They had more of a reaction to it, yeah.
So consistently speaking, Barragan does technically scale below Stark, second release Ukiura, and second form Yami, and below characters like
Give him
Tosin
that,
and Gin,
yeah.
who you can lowball quite a lot with certain arguments. Gin in particular, pretty strong, but Tosin, if you want to, you can lowball him quite a lot, and for sure, Barragan does not scale above them or Aizen. So hopefully this gives you guys the most basic...
Yeah, that was cool. That was a really nice look at Barragan, man. That was cool.
Ability does not kill every single person in Bleach just by touching them. Two quick little notes, by the way, guys. I forgot to add these earlier in the video, so it's better that I put it at the end of the video instead of just not saying it at all.
Go on.
Basically, these two things are quite important. So, the first one is that Barragan's axe in one of the Bleach data books is confirmed to be imbued with the power of Respira, which means that if he was to slash you with his axe, the ability would be much faster. So it's like, he slashes you, you age pretty much.
So is that what he threw at Aizen then, yeah?
Right now, would this happen to every single character that he slashes? Most likely not, but, you know, if he's slashing someone like Soifon and she gets hit directly by the axe, she is going to vanish. The other thing that I actually wanted to discuss is that in one of the Bleach novels, it is stated, and this is very heavily debated amongst the Bleach community, that basically Kenpachi can stop the Respira ability himself. Also, Mr. Kubo is a god when it comes to character design.
Yeah, it looks sick. It looks absolutely sick, man. Yeah. Yeah, they look amazing. They do look amazing.
That LR continues in the manga. We're gonna get some cool ass designs for characters.
Awesome. Cool video. Very cool. Barragan. It was an interesting one. Like he was yeah, OP to a point, but yeah, again, like the way the world of Bleach works, like with the spiritual pressure and everything, like if you've got a more powerful spiritual pressure, you're gonna just like bounce that off. But yeah, he was up there, man. He was up there, but he was right. It was weird that he didn't have like the interactions you would expect from him being the character that he is with certain people, like Grimjow, and like, well, he didn't really talk to anybody else. He just had the whole hate against Aizen, but just dealt with it because, yeah, you know. Anyway, thank you for watching, and thanks to my patrons. If you want to have your name at the end of your video, I upload. The link is in the description of the Patreon page. $1 a month is all that has to help support the channel. It's greatly appreciated. Thank you guys for that. And thank you all for watching. What do you guys think of that? What do you guys think of this? Click like, subscribe if you haven't already. Leave comments down below. Let me know how to watch this in future videos, and I'll see you guys. next time.